All right, there's AMD over 67. So that's an opening range break if it can hold it. So I asked everybody, what they would like me to train on today, and the response I got the most was tape reading, to explain some tape reading. And so I recorded a couple videos that I wanted to break down with you. And I broke it up into sections so you guys can watch it. ABUS yesterday ABUS had somebody propping up the bids. And so that's one of the things I'm going to go through is tape reading that with you guys. But before we start that, do you guys have any questions or anything else you want me to answer before we jump into the tape reading? None. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is, do you trust Market Chameleon? I'm not sure what you mean. What do you mean, do I trust it? Like, to provide good scanner results? Yes, Josh, I do. I've used them, and they're pretty accurate. I've yet to see any problems with them, so I trust them. Do you see the algo on the tape? Yeah, so what you see, Josh, you see how they're stair-stepping this down? And you'll see big orders. They'll stair-step it down, and then they'll pull it, and they'll let the bounce happen to come back up. Then they'll put it back on, and they'll stair-step it down, and you can actually see it on the tape going through. That's this right side's my big area, remember? And then this middle has the 1,000 plus, and then this one catches all of it. So when we're watching the ABUS videos, remember that. Remember, this catches everything right here. This is 1,000 plus, and this is 4,999 plus, so 5,000 plus. Question on lower left screen. All right, what's your question? There is a horizontal marquee rolling. Are you talking about this red and green thing here above the bid and the ask? Yeah, so you see it says momentum bar tracks the latest individual trade ticks for the symbol. That's all that is. It's just your ticks. That's this right here. So that's when I hold it over it. So that's what that's showing you. It's just showing you the ticks in real time. Do you recommend special subscriptions for tape reading? No, I would practice it and get really good at it first. And then if you wanted to dive deeper into it, then Bookmap is a great service for it. It shows you second by second, and you can see things a little bit better with Bookmap. But you have to understand tape reading first in general. All right, and the other warning I'm going to tell you is my wife, she is in the middle of a conference for her. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but she told me. But I'm a guy. I don't listen. But anyway, she can't be bothered, so the kids may be coming in and bothering me. So I apologize if that happens. All right, so remember, guys, watch the tape, and what you're looking for in tape is patterns, right? So I'm going to put up this first video, and this was from after hours yesterday. Okay, guys. I wanted to record this because you could see people propping this bid up on A-Bus over here. So I got long on A-Bus, and it was all because of bid propping. So I'm going to see if they can push it in the after hours. And so now I'm going to see if we can tape read this together. And I'm also watching AMD, my other chart, because Intel taking a bath because everybody's starting to figure out AMD is going to be taking market share from them. And so those are the two I'm watching after hours. So what we're looking for here is any big bid props and walls, right? So a prop is on the bid and a wall is on the ask. There was a lot of walls coming up, 30, 50K, and then this was dipping. You see these wicks over here? This was dipping down, but then 25, 35K orders would come in to prop it up. So the question now is, how far will it go? How far will these guys prop it and push it? And so we're starting to see distribution here, this red, right? See the big orders coming in? So now we want to see, there's a wall right there. See, could you see that? How the wall's coming in, distribution's coming in, 650 has 11, 12K on it, right? So now everybody that's long is seeing that. They're like, ah, they're selling, they're hitting the sell button right now. And if you look at this, after hours, it's a little bit harder to use volume profile and stuff like that, but 620 is an area of support. So let's see if they let this pull in and start propping the bid again, or if they, because I think they're going to push it. I think they're trying to make this the gapper for tomorrow. That 620 range has 34K. You see that 34K right there on 625? And then 675 has a wall. There's 14K getting eaten through. So I see no real reason to buy up in this area just yet. You can tell we tried breaking out of that double top up here. See, bam, bam. So now it's got to prove to you, hey, we got legs. We can push. See that 650's back with a wall. See if we can chew through it. We're chewing. There we go. So all these were taken off the ask. And if you'll notice something, see that 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000 all that right there. See all these thousands? What do you place your bids at? Do you place them at 1245, 11072, or do you do even numbers? Most retail traders, will do 1,000, 500, 250. We don't do 1126. And so seeing all those green even bids coming in right here, it's like, okay, is someone propping this, or is this people like you and I trying to get this, trying to push this over? Now here comes what I told you about the 620, right? All right. So Francisco asks Donald, I don't know if you guys can hear the echo, sorry. Bid equals seller and ask equals buyers. And then Matt answered. Yeah, so the bid, somebody is saying, hey, it's like an auction, right? Hey, I'll bid whatever, like what you can see on my screen right now. Somebody's bidding 586. Somebody's saying, hey, I'll buy it. And the seller is on the ask. Okay, so yeah, reverse that, Francisco. So did you guys understand what I meant by what size orders do you put in when I was talking about round numbers? Do you guys understand that as retail traders, what size do you usually buy when you buy shares? Everybody put in what size you normally buy, whether it be 100, 200, 1,000, 5,000. Yeah, Josh says even round numbers. I don't know a lot of retail traders. There are some that use 1245, 1376. Yeah, Frank says 1,000 if big, 100 if small. Yeah, so you saw on that tape that it was 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, and so when you're reading tape, just know that retail traders often use those round numbers, right? Yeah, exactly. Mitzi said round numbers easier to calculate profit and loss. All right, now, did you guys see how I was looking for a bounce spot before the price action got there? So while we were up in the 650 range, I said, hey, we should find support in the 620s. And then I looked around and then I found support at the bid at 625. I looked at the market depth and I saw there was somebody propping the bid at 625. So that allows me to place an order beforehand, at 626, hoping that they keep that area supported. So by looking ahead, I'm able to plan my trade so I don't have to instinctually buy at the right time. So if you're newer, that's important. You can use the tape to look ahead to pre-plan your trade. Yeah, there's actually Mark said institutions will try a 1 share to see about fills. Yeah, Mark, there's a 1 share algo that maybe I can get the guy that taught me about it to give me permission to share this with you, but that's very true. All right, so let's go on to video section number 2. And remember that we said 625 had that bid support. And so watch and see if 625 actually gets filled, or see if it was a spoof. And if it was a spoof, that means they're going to pull their order, right? So watch that in video number 2. what I told you about the 620, right? So for me, this would be, if you're bullish on it, right, this would be an area of adding around the 620 range, because that gives you a better risk reward than the 650s up here. You've got this 625 wall, 34K right here, right? Now, why are they showing us that, right? They want us to think that there's a wall there. So let's see if it starts getting eaten, if it gets down to it. All right, here comes the test. You ready? See that 625? Just got chewed through. Look at that. They just dumped right into it. Bam. All right, still being absorbed. That's a big sign that that was able to absorb that. So to me, again, that's showing that's the spot to get long, right? Right around that area. Because you know, if they're going to prop it, they're going to try to keep it propped up around there. All right, so Frank says, big sign. I don't know if you guys can hear that echo when I turn the thing back on. I apologize. Big sign. Frank said, big sign that was able to absorb that. I am sorry, Donald. You can expand on how you know it's absorption. I have been trying to understand that. Derek, wow, AMD. Yeah, Derek, I'm long and strong, AMD, baby. Got some hefty profits on that for sure. But yeah, Frank, you tell me, Frank, was that a spoof order at 625, or did 625 get filled? Anybody tell me. Did 625, remember that order? Did 625 get filled, or was it a spoof? Yeah, David, it was filled. Yeah, so what does that tell you, guys? Frank, that's absorption, right? What does that tell you? What does that mean that someone got filled there? And for those watching the replay, they answered it got filled. Yeah, Frank, somebody actually bought it, right? So that means someone is accumulating a large position, right? So do you remember the first video I said, I think somebody is accumulating this to push it for tomorrow, for a push for tomorrow. And this is ABUS. So do you see why they were accumulating it, right? They were accumulating it for this push to turn on their algo and just walk it right down. Yeah, Eric says otherwise they would have taken it off and the stock might have broke down through support. That's right. Now, I got filled, that was my fill. But even at that point, if you miss that entry, you can still get filled and have a decent risk reward there in the 30s. You're risking 10 cents for 30 to 40 cents, because remember we saw that wall at 0.75, and so still at this point it's like, hey, we have a good risk reward profile, because right, that's what we're looking for in trades, good risk versus good reward. That 625 was absorbed, lots of selling into it, it went down and then it popped right back up, right? Good sign, like Frank said. The next section, I actually had to slow it down. So the previous two videos that I played were live, and I was talking through how it was going. But this section, it's a little more complicated, so I had to slow it down and rewind it so you could actually see some things on the tape. So this one's going to be a little bit different, but it's important that you see everything that's happening on the tape. I wanted to go through this next section with you a little bit slower to try to show you a few things on tape. So we're going to pick it back up where we left off. And I want you to pay attention to the size of the orders going through versus what's on the tape, so that you can catch any discrepancies that are happening. So you'll notice here in a minute that there's going to be absorption on the bid. So they're putting in these bigger orders, 42, 44. They're testing out the waters. They're saying, hey, is this going to scare buyers away and make the sellers step up? Remember what I told you about them testing the waters? So we chew through at 42. No problem, right? Now, what happens is you see the 11K come up. Start paying attention to over here, the bid size versus what's actually going through. Let's see if you can catch it here. I'm trying to slow it down. All right, so that 41 gets chewed through. 39 has 2150 on it, right? 2250. Okay. Now the 39 gets chewed through, and you can see we're starting to get below the bid here. See how that bid has 638 right here? 638 starting to come through, right? Do you see it right here? 638 just had 3,000 go through. Bam, bam, bam. But it's only showing 1,100, right? Well, now we get down to 38 and try to stop it right on 38. Okay, so now we got 7,600 showing through. So that's 7,000 that just went through right there. Let's see, it should take it away. It does. Now, 637's got 100, and it's had 100 that whole time. But what's going through? More than 100, right? So that's a hidden bid. Somebody's absorbing more than they're putting on for us to see. All right. Now, did you guys see what I was pointing out there? Were you guys able to see it? Frank asks, I know Donald uses E-Trade, I use Thinkorswim. I wonder if there's a way to break out bid sizes in Thinkorswim rather than see the whole tape no matter the size. Seems like that would be very important. Yes, to answer that question, Frank, yes, there is. If you can't figure it out, call them. But there should be a settings where you can break it out. Yes, open the time and sales and the level 2. Yes, so you need to have level 2 open and the time and sales, and the time and sales will let you adjust how many you can see. So, guys, what does it mean that somebody was only showing, 100 in small size, but they were absorbing a lot more than what they were showing on level 2? What does that mean? I told you on the video what it was called, right? If somebody's showing that there's only 100 size, but you see thousands going through at that level. No, Chris, it's not a dark pool. It's just a hidden bid, right? Yeah, they're just hidden orders, and they're absorbing all that in there. They don't want you to see how much they're buying, okay? And so you could see through there was a lot of absorption through hidden orders. And also take note, did you see the medium-sized orders that were like 10 to 15,000 at 642 and 644? So they were showing that on the ask. So do you remember how I showed you? They'll show orders, bigger orders on the ask, hoping to get people to sell into their hidden bids. So that was an example of that. So they were showing a little bit bigger orders. People started selling into they showed a bigger ask, and then people started selling into their hidden bid. So that's what you just saw. Now, on videos section, on this next section, you'll notice about 25 seconds in, watch the 644 ask, okay? I want you guys to tell me what happens to that 644 ask on this next video. There's another 633 prop. Remember that 625 was actually filled, so it wasn't a spoof. So somebody's actually absorbing these shares. I want to see a little bit of a larger volume candle come in compared to these. Wonder if Heath would care if I logged in after hours to do some after hours trading with you guys, or pre-market. I do after hours and pre-market. Now you see how those bids swapped? Now you see how it's at 650? See, already we're up 25 cents from that I told you to get in. There we go. See if we can break this, which is ultimately a triple top, right? So it tried again, failed, pulled. Now we're going for it again. Here we go. There we go. Bam. Okay, so now we broke it, right? So now the question is it going to trigger more people in? There's that, you guys see that flash, that 37K flash? I don't know if you saw it, but go back and watch the recording. 37K flashed here. See, that's a refresh buyer. Bam, bam. Here we go. All right, guys, live tape reading with you. See all these orders coming in? Here we go. So this is what I'm talking about when I say someone's manipulating the stock, right? The axe. Who is it that is controlling the stock? Now, for me, what I do at this point is we're getting next to that 675, right? So that 675 is going to be a pivot point for me. And so what I'll do is I'll sell 3/4 or so of my position here and use that 75 as a kind of what I was talking about earlier about farming it. So I sell that position, and to break through that 675, most likely what's going to happen is the same thing that happened here, right? You're going to hit it, pull off of it, and here's the pull off. Okay. And now you can get back in here on the 650 area and you saved yourself 23 cents, right? If you still think they're going to push. I mean, you have to come up with your own thesis. All right, so Vandana asked, Donald, do you use this only for small caps or penny stocks, or do you use it for large caps too? No, I use it for large caps as well. Large caps are harder to manipulate, but you can still see the big orders. Honestly, for me, tape reading the larger caps is easier. It's easier to see. So on that video, did you guys see what happened to the 644 bid? Did anybody see the 644 ask? Could anybody see what happened? If you're watching this in replay, go back and look. That 644, it had on the ask side, it had 14K, then it went down to 11K, and then down to 10K. But the 10K got pulled. It never got filled. So that ask was a spoof, right? And so they pulled it. The question is, so do you make some changes in the settings for large caps? The only thing I change is the size that I'm watching. So like if I'm trading Tesla, I'll change this down to 500, my 1,000 one down to 500, and I'll trade my 5,000 one down to 2,000, 2,500, because you don't have as many. But like AMD today is the stock I'm playing while I'm doing the trading, but I was watching the tape with AMD, watching for absorption. You could see it come in, and then it broke above VWAP. Again, as you see all these wicks on the chart? You can see that on the tape. They're just absorbing this. There's a big buyer there. And this is another one of my plays. It's just, if I bring this chart in here. So this is my AMD 15-minute chart. I often have, the high was 66.95. So if we can break above 67, that's an opening range breakout. So you have that pop in the morning, profit taking, and then a breakout. So I started adding to my position. I bought 20 more contracts when it broke 67 based off of chart tape reading. So does that answer your question, Vandana? Kevin said, is the spoof just to force the price higher or lower? Yes, Kevin, that is exactly what a spoof is for. They want to manipulate the price. So they didn't really want to sell there. And so they started pulling their orders once the orders started coming in. They were trying to keep the price down so they could fill more of their position. And also go back and watch that section again on the recording, and you'll see a big bid prop comes in. About 41K comes in. I think it was around the 50 mark. You can see them pop it in there. Man, look at AMD. Woo. Long and strong, baby. And you'll see a 37K bid flash. It's there for literally 1 second. So you have to see it. It's 1 second. You'll see it. All right, I'm actually going to take some AMD off here. So at steady, slow climbs are good. It starts getting parabolic. It usually pulls back a little bit and starts to consolidate a little bit. So I'm going to take a little bit off here and see if I can catch another pullback. All right, so on video section, on this last section, video 5, I want you to, I'm gonna take off my position, and I want you to tell me why I took it off. What did I see on the tape that made me take off my position? Okay, so that's what we're looking for in video number 5. All right. All right, let's see. Now here we go back, right? This is our second attempt at it, right? So we knew this was going to happen. You know, you lower your cost basis by 30 cents, 20 cents. So now you've taken some profit. Oh, look at this. Look at that soak. Can you see that soak? Look at it. Bam, 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 bam. It's big. See, that's what you're looking for on the tape, right? This is tape reading live. Okay. I mean, you see all that was going through? So if somebody came in and was taking that 675, they were taking that 675 out. See all of the big bids over here? Bam, 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 bam. And so you have to ask yourself, who's controlling it? What are they controlling it for? And did you see the 675 bid on the 675 support on the bid this time? Remember I told you kind of the flop positions? Bart has that video on it. Well, that's what happened. That's what just happened. It's like old support becomes new resistance. I mean, old resistance becomes new support. So this one will be interesting tomorrow with the news and the attention it's getting now. So guys, remember this right here. Remember, this was the sign. Remember, absorption and distribution. That's what we're looking for. Now, technical wise, you know, we should hold the top of this flag area. We want to put in a higher low, maybe 640 to 650. Yeah, I'd say about 650. I don't know if you guys can hear my kids out there. I apologize if you can. There we go. Okay, I'm partialing out here. 16K, 13K. You see that? Did you see that get eaten through at 680? There's a wall, we ate through it. Somebody was distributing at 680. Alright, I think I'm going to take everything off but 500 shares. Yeah, alright. I took everything off. There it goes. Bam. Now, could you guys see on the tape what I was saying? Why I was taking everything off? That's what the tape is for. So you can know what's going to happen before it happens, right? Okay, so for anybody that was watching that tape, can you tell me what I saw? Why did I sell? Anybody? Why did I sell? Victor, then no follow through. Can't go a little bit deeper into that, Victor. What do you mean no follow through? Chad, big seller at 680. Yeah. That there was, right. There was a big seller at 680, but we actually chewed through him for a little bit, right? We hit him and was taking it off of the green. We actually ate through that. So what happened was Victor's right. I just don't know if he's answering it, if he knows. Yeah, there you go, Victor. Good job. Victor Vin. All right. A virtual high five, brother. Victor says it took out the 13K, but there were no stops to trigger more buying. So yeah, we had that 675 and we had that 680 and we were I'll get to your question in a sec, Chad. So it started eating through that. Man, AMD so strong. So do you guys remember I said it before? You're getting a few lessons here. Before I play that other video, I said, look, I'm going to take some here to try to get in lower because after these pops, it consolidates. This is farming. This is what I'm talking about. I have a core position, but I'll sell 1,000 here and then I'll try to get it in 10, 20, 30 cents cheaper. And then as these pop, I'll try to buy and sell that position. That's me farming. That's why I don't know if you'd want every single alert that I alert, because I'll trade just on AMD today. I probably have 100 trades at least. But the thesis, I tell you the thesis, it's like, hey, AMD, opening range breakout, blah, 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 blah. And then you have to decide when to get in and out. But anyway, okay, so back to Chad's question. I didn't understand how it chewed through the 680, but it never went higher than that. So Chad, if you go back, you'll see the 680s getting filled. And watch on the tape, you'll see 680 starts getting filled, and you'll see that number start going down, right? And so that should be bullish. You're right. So that's the key, Chad. Why wasn't it? Why didn't we go higher? Well, what happened was, you can see we sold down and then we popped back up real quick, and you immediately saw sellers on the tape. And that's why I was like, okay, excuse me guys, I'm coughing. This is where I'm going to take everything off. And if you go back and look at ABUS, I'm going to show you the tape from yesterday. You can see this was the area that I said, hey, I'm taking everything off. Now, Chad, you can see the high, it actually got to 683. So it did chew through it. It got to 683, but if you look, see if I can zoom in on these candles. You can see it on the chart. So it chewed through 683, but it just immediately came back down, right? Red candle, bigger volume. Again on this candle, right? I said it went back and tested it again, and that was this candle right here. Went through 680 again, but no follow through, as Victor Venn was saying. So it took it out, but it should be going bullish, and it's not. And so I'm like, all right, there's a distributor here, time to get out. And so that was supposed to be bullish. It didn't turn out to be bullish, and so that's a bearish sign. Does that make sense, Chad? And you can see what happened afterwards. And we were watching this. there was a soaker again in the 80s. So right here you can see there was a soaker right here. And then he started soaking again here. Now guys, why? What were they doing? What was their plan? Well, it's easier to manipulate in aftermarket or pre-market because there's not as much volume. Phil says, what is a soaker? All right, Phil, in the beginning of the video, I showed you a couple of examples of a soaker. A soaker is someone that is soaking up all the sell, right? So they're sitting on the bid side, and you'll see all kinds of selling, but it's getting soaked up. The price isn't going down. And so if you watch my first training on tape reading, I give you another example of a soaker. You see a huge amount of orders going through at a certain price, but the price is just sitting there and somebody is just soaking them up. Now, what they do, guys, the reason they do this is they play it both ways. They soak to run the price higher to get retail traders to chase. It's easier to manipulate. And then what they'll do is they'll start to fill their short positions, and then they play it short. So it's crooked, it's horrible, but you can make money following them. And so you can see they start to push it up here in the pre-market, right? They keep it high, and then look at all this volume. I want you to watch the volume profile. So look. So we're going, and then we start to get to open, and watch. Volume profile, bam. We're just 1 minute in. Now look, see all the volumes, so everybody's buying up here. So all the things that they were soaking down here in the 620s to $7 range, they're able to sell to us retail traders that chase these opening morning pops, right? So now do you see how heavy the volume is up here? Well, this is when we started watching, and you could see an algo. They were walking this down. And so every pop was sold into, and they just walk it down. And you can see it on the tape. It's very plain on the tape. And that's why they do it. Yeah, Phil said just didn't know the term, but understood accumulation. Hold on one sec, guys. I gotta. AMD's wanting 70. Love it. I still got $60 and $65 calls for January 2021. Daniel asks, Donald, are you using E-Trade Pro tool? Yes, I am. That's exactly what I'm using. All right. So guys, do you have any other questions? That was kind of my tape reading, slow down and show you a few things with tape reading. Any questions about that? Do you understand what I was watching, how I was seeing the absorption, the distribution? Yeah, Daniel, tape reading is very important if you are a day trader and you want to get good entries. So like today with AMD, I sold at the pop. I sold into this pop, and then I bought back at VWAP, and then I added again when I saw on the tape that there was a big guy buying up shares here. A lot of big guys, actually. And then here's another play to put in your playbook, guys, is this, hey, the first 15 minutes, it works both ways. If it breaks, see how AMD's high here was 66.95. So once it got above 67, I was like, all right, time to start getting into more AMD. I call that just an opening range breakout. And same thing on a breakdown. Stocks that break down in the first 15 minutes, it's the same idea. And you want to use that as your risk level, right? So that's another play for the playbook. Let's see. Francisco says, we just need to review it many more times. Thank you. Yeah, Francisco, just watch it a few times. And honestly, it's just practicing watching the tape. Frank says, I feel like this is what makes you great and what makes day trading not gambling. Frank, yeah, it's if you don't have this tool, then it makes day trading a lot harder. That's for sure. And he says, it hasn't clicked for me yet. I don't have questions. I just need to keep watching and rewatching the videos. Yeah, and Frank, just watch tape. I'm serious. Just like I've spent hours upon hours watching tape, and you start to notice these little nuances, and you'll start picking things up. And honestly, if you record, pick a stock you're going to be trading that day, and record the tape, and then go back and watch it, and especially around your buys and sells, and see if there was triggers and reasons that you were doing it. Phil says, Donald, how is E-Trade doing on Phil's lately? I switched to TDA because E-Trade was terrible for a while. Phil, it depends on when you're trading. The first 10 minutes, they're horrible. They cost me about $2,000 this morning on AMD fills. So it was frustrating because I was trading here. So I sold, and it was my fault. I should have put in a limit, but E-Trade was showing me it was in the 66 area, and I market sold, and it actually filled me 66.60 actually filled me down in the 65 area. So anyway, but yeah, as long as you're not in the first 10 minutes, it's pretty good. Besides first 10 minutes, no, I agree with you. Frank, between you and Nate, I think these are the best things on Raging Bull at the moment. Oh, thank you, Frank. And I'm trying to work a few things out with Raging Bull as well. I have differences of opinions on a few things, so that I can come in here and give you more live trading. But AMD is an example of live trading with you guys. So, I mean, since I got on, we're up what, $2, $1.50. Let's see. Any other questions? I think now a couple other questions I got. We still have about 10 minutes left. Somebody asked, what does VPS stand for? That was Sam. Sam, I don't know if you're here or if you're watching, but VPS for me is a vertical put spread. And a VCS is a vertical call spread. Then Brian asked about walking through Monster Trade earlier in the week. Brian, I have to do that another time. We only have a few minutes left. George says, Donald, can you show the tape of ENT and share how you would interpret it when it went above VWAP a few times but did not hold? Hey, George, that's That's a great question. Here, let's ENT. So George, I was actually playing this, right? There was a few things I was watching on ENT. It's a real company. It doesn't have a lot of dilution, so I thought if it could get up above VWAP and hold, that maybe. Wait, is ENT the one? I think I might be confusing it. Let me check. But I think ENT might have been it. But what kept happening was, anytime that it would come above VWAP, it couldn't hold, right? So that is a sign of distribution. If this is the same one, I play so many stocks, I apologize, but I think this was the one. There was somebody absorbing at a certain level, and once they stopped absorbing, it cracked. So somebody was absorbing it on the tape, 650 or something like that, or whatever. There was a big order, but as soon as they pulled it, somebody was trying to push it higher, and it wasn't a real order. As soon as they pulled that order, it flushed down. And so they've tried it a couple times to push it, and it's just been unsuccessful. Matt says, how do you reconcile different volume profiles from different time frames? If you're playing 1 day, 1 minute chart, it won't show accumulation from previous days, weeks, but aren't they still relevant? How do you decide? Great question, Matt. Anant, yeah, you're exactly right, Anant. Anant said on ENT, Anant knows me well. I've worked with Anant a lot, and he knows exactly what I look for. Yeah, if they break this descending triangle and it comes back and retests, that'll be a buy signal. So Matt, that's a great question, and somebody else asked that question. So here, let me walk through it just real quick with you. So here, let me pull in something, and I'm going to try to get this to get in our screen. Now, so look, what I want you to look at is this is no lines, this is lines, right? So all these lines are my volume profile, okay? So how do I get those lines? Well, what I do is I'll come in and I'll say, all right, let's look at the daily. I want to look at the daily and the overall, right? So I come in and I'm like, hey, here's support. See how much time we got. We got a few more minutes. All right, I'm gonna do this quick. Here's support. Here's some support. Here's some resistance, right? So I look at it overall first. Okay, I want to get the overall picture, and then I zoom in. So look, I want to capture all these people in this area right there, right? I want to see where they are, because they're the ones that are going to be controlling the stock. And so I've got to zero in on them. So what I do is I switch to the hourly, and I bring it back to capture all those people, which is to right here, right? So let's zoom it in. Here, let me, if I make it bigger, you can actually see it better. So, all right, here I am. I want to see more of a closer up picture. So I move this line to here, can move this line down to here, right? And so you'll notice these lines are starting to look like these lines, and you can see that 5232 area that I had See this green line? That's my, hey, get big positions. Well, look, it came down and wicked right on it because this is the big support area, right? And so all you do is you just keep zooming in. And so now we want to get a little bit closer. Let's look at the 15-minute. And so if we were to take out the breakout days, you can start seeing the closer time frames of support and resistance. So here's some support, right, from this day. And that's all you're doing. You're simply zooming in. And then when you get to, you want to see a 1 day, you switch to a tighter time frame. Or if you wanted to see just over a couple days. So you're looking at just the breakout on AMD. So if we were to draw volume profiles on AMD on the breakout range, so there's one, right? Now, there's a lot of people in here. And that's how you use volume profiles. It's just to find where people are. Big support coming in here. Now, after hours, there was a news event because of Intel, and it pushed it all the way up. And so on today, if you're looking at Intel on today, AMD on today, you can see, all right, that, remember I told you the opening range breakout was 67. So this was that opening range breakout. Here was the breakout. Here was the retest. And at that point, I was actually waiting. You can see it better on the E-Trade, I think, screen. I was waiting for, pull up AMD and scroll it back. So it broke above 67, and I want you to watch the volume profile here. So it breaks above. So at this point, where am I looking to enter? According to the day volume profile. Well, you should begin to find support around 66.60 to 66.50, right? So that is my retest area. So I started averaging in around 75 and bought all the way down. So you see how it comes down and does exactly that? Right off of it. Bam. And then it bounced. So that's how you use it. So I took the whole picture, right? And then I narrowed it down into day trading. And that's how you do it. Any other questions? I think I have 1 minute. So just so you guys know, Anant is a Thinkorswim user, and he uses a volume profile on TOS. So if you have any questions on TOS, Thinkorswim, ask him. Francisco, Donald, what are your moving averages you use for day trading besides the VWAP? So I use the 20 and I use the Keltner channels. I have rules about when to short and when to cover, depending on where they are in the Keltner channels. So you can see the 5 minute often comes back to the 20. So you see how it came back to the 20 on the 5 minute chart right here at the beginning. That's just something I look for. That's why I use the 20. And when it starts to get too extended away from the 20 and up here out of the Keltner range, that's when you're chasing. You can't buy it up there, right? So you can add and take away, but if you've already missed the move, if it's up here, you should have bought at the opening range breakout at 67. All right, guys, I'm gonna stop the recording and